Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're looking for a good survival knife on a budget, this knife here, the Cima one, might be what you're looking for. Now a lot of people think when they first start out, and I was guilty of this too, that a knife really isn't all that important for survival. I think the only knife I had in one of my bug out bags was one of the big Glock knives, and it wasn't overly sharp, and I figured, if I need a knife, this will do. Well, after watching numerous videos and learning a lot about survival, I realized you're going to need a decent knife. The problem comes in when somebody who's new or on a limited budget has to go out and buy one of these, okay? There are, knives run anywhere from pure junk for $10 to incredible, $400 and $500 knives. So if you're looking for a basic survival knife, if you're looking for something to start out with, maybe you don't want to spend a lot of money, maybe you don't have a lot of money to spend, that's where the Cima one comes in. I'm going to show you this knife really quick. Give you a quick look at it. It's got the nice kind of greenish, blackish micarta handles, which is kind of unusual for such an inexpensive knife. It's a heavy knife. It feels good in your hand, and it's heavy. A while back, I showed you my old right edge, the one that was all done up in that military camo. Actually, I'll show you the scales from it. It was a black knife, stainless steel, done up in military camo like this. Well, it's a good option, but these really aren't very available, and I did some modifications to it. I wish I'd done a video of me making these scales. I made the scales for it. I took the coating off. This is an excellent knife. I bought it for $6 at a gun show. This is an excellent knife. Of course, I've done some modifications to it, but even with the crummy scales on it, it was fine. But you're not going to find that everywhere. It's a little bit harder to find. These are all over Amazon, okay? You can get these anywhere. Now, generally, it's hard to find a knife that's decent for, bushcraft or your bug out bag or survival in this price range unless it's a Mora. And a lot of people have problems with Moras because they're not full tang. They're that half kind of, I forget the correct name for it. Someone will remind me, I'm sure, in the comments. But they're not full tang. They're kind of thin. So that's pretty much the complaints about it. So anyway, this is something that really is worth considering. If you watched other reviews on these, and this is what got me interested in these, people have been like, they originally, I watched some older reviews and people got this and like, all right, here's a cheap $20 Chinese knife. This thing's probably going to be a piece of junk. Let's try it out. By the end of the video, they were singing its praises. So I got to say, look at the thickness on that. You got a little bit of jimping up here. You got a nice little finger choil. I was concerned about your finger nipping the edge of that, but it seems to be rounded off here, so you won't get bit by that. So you can really choke up on this knife if you're doing some kind of real controlled work. The grips are very comfortable, and I like the micarta. It just looks cool. You got an exposed tang here, so that's good for crushing acorns, rocks, whatever. You can put a lanyard on it. As a matter of fact, I have a funny feeling that after this video is done, the lanyard on the sheath here is probably going to end up there, because there's no point in having that thing. Now, as everybody says, the sheath. This is just molded plastic. It's a nice sheath, don't get me wrong, but it's not Kydex. It'll probably actually hold up a little better if you're banging around in the woods. My complaint with it is this monster big metal clip back here. But you can probably get yourself a piece of Kydex at knifekits.com and duplicate something like this. Or you can just take it off. For me, this is probably going to go in one of my testing bug out bags, that I take to test with. And for me, this is probably going to live without that hunk of metal on the back. The blade steel, 7CR, 17 MOV. This is, it says it right on the blade there. The interesting thing about this is this steel has a little bit extra, I believe they call it vanadium. It's basically a modified 440 stainless with a little extra vanadium in it. What that does is it gives you increased overall strength, better wear resistance, and increased toughness. And that's pretty much all you're looking for in a knife. You really can't complain. You know, the one thing I didn't do was the measurements, and I'll put the measurements down in the link below. But I mean, it's pretty much the same as any survival knife. You've seen this guy before. You know, I'm guessing probably about 7 inches with a 3.5-inch blade. It kind of looks a little bit like the SE3, if you have seen those. Difference is, those are a whole lot more than this little $20 Cima. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this outside, and I'm going to chop up some wood and run it through a few little tests out in our backyard, and we're going to try and start a fire with it in my little my little rocket stove out there, and see how it works. So we're out here outside. I'm going to chop up some wood. Got some pieces lying around out here. Save that for later. But I want to baton through a piece first. I'm using this piece. I don't want to use a big piece because you won't be able to see it in the camera, and I can't put the camera up higher than it is right now. So we're just going to pop through that. Whoops. Let's do it this way. Right through it. No problem. Right through it there. Now, let's see. I don't know how good this wood's going to be for feather sticking, but I'll give it a try. This is kind of old. Not bad, though. Kind of old hardwood that's been out here a while. Not bad, not great, but not bad. I mean, it's not the knife's fault. That's just really the crummy old wood. So, we got some fat wood. I can make some, if I can keep it on the top of the stump here. There we go. Make a few shavings. And then what I like about this is it's pretty, you know, it's got a nice control feel to it. Like if I want to carve this into some kind of spike for a tent, and this is a really hard old piece of wood, and it's just biting right into it and tearing it open. There you go. So, not really all that bad. I'm pretty impressed. Most of the people that have reviewed this knife in the past were pretty surprised by the quality of it. Let's take a big piece and see if I can. You probably won't see this all on the camera, but it just plowed right through it. And I haven't touched up this edge. This edge came out of the box razor sharp to begin with. So I'm going to move the camera around, and we're going to start a little fire using a ferro rod and see what we can do from there. All right, I got some fat wood shavings down here, a little bit of dryer lint, which is my favorite kind of fire starter because it's so simple. We're just going to give it a little go here. There we go. Throw that on top. There you are. You got that going. Whoa, get in there. I'll throw that in there. And we'll toss some wood in there. And start it up. So as you can tell, it pretty much does everything. It's got a really nice spine on it. The jimping doesn't get in the way of using it as a fire starter, although I try to use this area up here. The spine is a little bit easier to use up here, but that scratch up your ferro rod maybe, but it won't do any damage. And as you can tell, it will work. It'll start a fire right away. I got a nice fire going in there already. So that's about it. And we're going to go back inside. I'll give you my final thoughts on it, and we'll see you back inside. All right, back inside. So, since I had a few minutes between editing there, I went inside and got you the length because I just couldn't believe that I forgot to write down the statistics of the knife. It is 8.46 inches total length, and the blade is 3.34 inches. They say the thickness is 0.177. Have to say I'm impressed with it, even with all that chopping out there, and got a couple little, you know, not really too badly beat up on the coating. I mean, I didn't go crazy with it, but, you know, I gave it a basic little test. I did do some tip tests. Unfortunately, the camera didn't record it, but I just shoved it into a piece of wood and pried it out. And as you can see, that tip is good to go. Not bent, not any kind of problem. Nothing weird going on there. You know, it is a clone of the, what is it, SE3 or the Ontario Rat. If that's a deal breaker for you, you know, by all means, go out and buy those. But I like to focus on some budget gear for people who might just be starting out. And instead of saving for, 2 months to buy one of those, you can buy one of these for $19.80 and have yourself a decent knife. So overall, I'm impressed with it. I mean, for the price, it's a steal. You really can't beat it. It's got a nice feel to it. It's comfortable in your hand. Even the sheath. People bag on the sheath because of the big metal thing back there. But I'm already thinking about how I can get a piece of leather across here and maybe stick a ferro rod in it and a striker in it, or, who knows? I'm already thinking of ideas on it. So, I mean, for the price, you can't beat it. And that is the Cima one survival knife. I'm going to put a link below where you can buy it. This, I did purchase this for myself because I've been dying to try these things out. I do have an Ontario 3 and I like it, the Ontario Rat 3, but I wanted to see how this stacks up. And honestly, if you'd handed me this knife, okay, I'd say, my Ontario 3 got a little heavier, but it still feels good. That's kind of, honestly, the feeling of it. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will talk to you guys soon, and take care. Bye.